Welcome back to Get Into Business, the show all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship. So many folks have described me, well, as a lot of different things, but folks have certainly described me as a storyteller. Storytelling is an art that's been practiced for thousands of years, but entrepreneurs have focused on building their businesses. You often lose sight of telling great stories during investor presentations. That's why I'm bringing this next guest on. Donna Griffit is a corporate storytelling expert, and she wrote Sticking to My Story. And I am thrilled to have you on. Donna, welcome to the program.
Thrilled to be here.
Absolutely. So speaking of stories, tell us your own. Tell us a little bit about the person behind the microphone and why you're so passionate about storytelling and helping thousands of startups do the same.
Well, that's exactly it. You just answered the question. I've been, waking up to responses about the book of thank you for writing this. Thank you for writing this. This is the best thing ever. And that was really my point. I mean, I have been a huge fan of stories and of startups for over 2 decades, and I see them struggle. And these are brilliant, brilliant people that are truly changing the world, and they can't explain to the world what it is that they're doing. And storytelling is such a powerful medium for them to be able to do it. So about me, I found my passion. I got very lucky with this at a young age. I was always into acting and psychology, and I got my master's in drama therapy. And I happened to just be inspired to hear about, presentation skills, business writing skills. And from there, it kind of evolved. I talk about that in the book, but less about me, more about how we can help your listeners.
Well, that's awesome. Well, you definitely, hearing your story is inspirational, and it's fascinating. So let's talk about why stories make a difference. Especially for entrepreneurs that are listening over here. We see a lot of slide decks. Why are stories something that will pique people's interest?
So what's funny is everybody's always loved blaming PowerPoint and all the different mediums for presentations being bad. But that's like saying, oh, this cake tastes horrible. That pan must be, there's something wrong with it. It's not the slide deck. It's the content. People don't know how to arrange it. And storytelling is an ancient art with a very specific structure that's been around for tens of thousands of years. We go back to cave paintings in Chauveau, which are like nearly 60,000 years old, and where people were telling their story, and then Gilgamesh and the Iliad, and all the way through to today's movies. People have been conditioned from the time they were born, even before in their, I told stories to my girls when I was pregnant with them, to hear stories and to learn to communicate in the world with it. And then somewhere along the line, we go to college and we're thrown a bunch of terminology and we think, oh, that's the way we need to communicate. And it's absolutely opposite. So we need to get back to the basics of human connection and human communication. And that's what stories are so brilliant at doing, and they stick.
So just last night, it's funny. I was on Netflix, and honestly, I was looking for something interesting for a few minutes to distract me. And my wife and I came across RV, which has Robin Williams in it. And in the story, Robin Williams goes off and is asked to do an investor presentation. Long story short, his colleague does a boring presentation. And what ends up happening is Robin Williams falls in, looking messy, looking dirty and all that. And he just speaks to that sort of emotional, that human side of who he is and so on. And I don't want to be a spoiler, but he gets the deal.
So true. It's exactly what it is. It's the human side. It doesn't have to look beautiful. Well, I mean, today slides do need to look the part as well, but it's about that story of that human condition, why you became an entrepreneur, why you're doing what you're doing, what pain you've identified, and how you are uniquely equipped to solve it.
So speaking specifically about pitch decks, which we already brought up in our conversation, in Sticking to My Story, it's not really just a story. It really provides a lot of, it's a manual over there that can be really helpful for entrepreneurs and startups, just like all of you listening to the program. You argue that a high-level outline, requires those 4 chunks. Can you tell us what they are?
Yes, it's like a 4-act play. I grew up in going to New York and seeing theater, and when you walk into the theater, you are presented with acts of the play, and also an overture and the finale. So I've taken that concept of theater and put it on the acts, the chunks of the play. So it's very archetypal. You've got the problem or the villain, the solution or your hero, and then the hero's plan of action or your business plan. And then finally, the vision for the future. What happens the day after the villain is ding dong, the witch is dead? So people might be saying, oh, problem solution. They've been telling that for years. Yeah. And they're going to keep telling it for years because it works. And it's just like any structure, it becomes transparent. And what should shine through is your content, your story, your uniqueness, which is all held together by this 4-act structure.
Awesome. Fantastic. And so we've already been talking a little bit about the human side of things. But you also argue in the book, again, I'm chatting with Donna Griffit, the author and the chief storyteller in Sticking to My Story, which is available, I know, on Amazon. We'll certainly share more contact information in just a couple of minutes. But you argue that a good investor pitch deck has to satisfy 3 requirements. Let's talk about that, Donna.
So investors are continuously listening under the surface for 3 things. 1, your credibility, how well you and your team know your domain, what kind of expertise you have that make you uniquely equipped to get this off the ground. 2, your likability. And it's not being, rah, rah, yes, man, or yes, woman. It's being someone that is of a flexible, coachable mindset, someone that's going to be nice for them to have. Even, I can only imagine the conversations that have gone on in the past week with the implosion of SVB and how difficult some of these conversations. You want to know that you have a mensch at the table, someone that really is easy and pleasant to work with. And 3rd is momentum. How far have you gotten? Sales, downloads, product stage, IP, anything that shows that your rubber is meeting the road. Those are the 3 things you constantly want to be weaving into your story.
And I speak about this so frequently on the program, but often entrepreneurs are having coffee meetings. So many coffee meetings, constantly trying to just do the light informational type conversation. But the same is also true in terms of job seekers and folks, candidates for positions. When you're sitting in a coffee meeting, Donna, what is the best way to tell your story and not bore people with just talking about the has-been?
Well, you asked me at the beginning, tell me about yourself. I could have taken any track that I wanted, and I never know exactly how I'm going to answer that question. And I do a lot of interviews, so I always try to make it different. So you are the writer of your story. You have the power to present it. And the best way you can start is some kind of a storytelling. It could be an anecdote from your life that reflects skills and talents of yours. It can be a moment in time that made you start your journey. It doesn't have to be, oh, well, I grew up, blah, 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 and I was educated at blah, blah, blah. That's boring. Break the mold and make sure that your true value, your true assets, your true talents and skills shine through, whether you're searching for a job, raising funding, or trying to sell to a client. That's what's going to engage them, because that makes them go, oh, wow, that reminds me of the time that, and then you've created rapport, you've created connection, you're synced up with each other, and then you have this power to influence.
Don, I've really enjoyed our conversation. There's a lot of great takeaways. I've been taking notes, and I know our listeners are probably nodding their heads vigorously and taking notes as well.
It gets the nod, yes.
It does. And I know everybody will want to get in touch with you to learn more and pick up a copy of your book. How can we do that? How can we talk further?
DonnaGriffit.com, 2 F's, 1 T. My site, you're welcome. There's a lot of great tidbits there. You can reach out to me. And also StickingToMyStory.com is more about the book. You can order it, you can read about it. And I'm always here and love hearing from people that were helped by the book. That's why I wrote it. There's one of me. The only way I could really scale myself, and I call it Donna GPT, because I'm able to ingest data and bring it out, is to write and give you, like you said, that manual. So I truly hope it's helpful, and let me know if it was. That warms my heart.
Enormously helpful indeed. Donna Griffit, thank you so much for sharing your story with our listeners. And I encourage everybody to get in touch with you. We'll link through the show notes as well. And speaking of the show notes, be sure to check out our sponsor, Tom Marabali from healthplanchicago.com. You can also reach him 630-863-3477, 630-863-3477. We've got to squeeze in a quick break, some headlines, commercials. When we come back, lots more small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Don't touch that dial.